are now entering the last phase, the last part of today's program. So please stay in this room. We will just quickly set the scene because we will proceed with the award ceremony. So for sure, stay with us for this ceremony which will be the highlight of today's program, let's say. Meanwhile, let me only briefly mention the partners of the summit. When it comes to institutional partners, I can remind you that this event is co-organized by the Office of the Government of the Czech Republic, and this event is side event of the Czech EU presidency. Also, one of the top partners is the representation of the European Commission in the Czech Republic, European Investment Bank, Hans Seidel Stiftung, and City of Prague. When it comes to main partners, we can name Stratos Auto, which has been active on the Czech market for more than 28 years, and it's one of our most important partners. And also EIT Urban Mobility, which is an initiative of European Institute of Innovation and Technology, a body of the EU that aims to accelerate the transition to sustainable urban mobility and livable cities. And also another general media partner is the Czech television, the Czech public broadcaster. So these are the main partners. Of course, we have to thank them for their support of this great event, and we will slowly start with another session of this 2 days program, because of course this is not the only day of the Prague European Summit. Tomorrow we will continue with another series of interesting discussions, and right now we are setting the scene for another musical performance. As you remember, we begin this summit with a musical performance given by the Music and Dance Faculty of the Academy of Performing Arts in Prague, and we are glad that we will listen to another musical performance in few seconds. After the musical performance, we will start the Vision for Europe award ceremony. Let me only remind you that the Vision for Europe is the annually bestowed award for distinguished personalities who have, in the course of their lives, devoted substantial efforts to the establishment and development of European ideas. So we will see the ceremony coming soon. But before the ceremony, it's my pleasure to welcome here artists, musicians from the Academy of Performing Arts in Prague. So we are just waiting for our performers. I can already invite them here to go into the front of the hall. I can see that our artists, musicians are already coming to give us another musical performance. So please, we can give small applause to musicians from the Academy of Performing Arts in Prague. So please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much for this wonderful musical performance given by musicians who are active at the Music and Dance Faculty of the Academy of Performing Arts in Prague. I think that we can give another applause to the performers. And now, a highlight of this evening, the Vision for Europe Award ceremony is beginning. I'm very glad that the Prague European Summit tradition continues and that we can give this very nice prize to another important personality of the Czech and also European diplomacy. As I said before, Vision for Europe is prize for personalities who have, in the course of their lives, substantially helped to create and to push forward the European ideas, the idea of European cooperation, the cooperation among nations, and who devoted themselves to make European integration more accessible to European public as well. And I'm very glad that this year's award will be granted to Mr. Karel Schwarzenberg, former Minister of Foreign Affairs of the Czech Republic. And I'm very happy that this prize can be awarded to Mr. Schwarzenberg by Tomáš Pojar. Tomáš Pojar is the advisor of the Prime Minister for Foreign and Security, and he's also Deputy Minister for European Affairs of the Czech Republic. So I would like now to ask Mr. Pojar to go here in front and to give us his speech and start the ceremony.
Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, it's a true honor for me to present here someone who does not need to be presented at all, because I'm sure that all Czechs know very well the magnitude of Prince Schwarzenberg, the forester and innkeeper, as he calls himself, always with a bow tie, as I respected today as well. A true European with 700 years of history in Bohemia, someone who has devoted his life to fight and support for freedom and democracy in the dark times of Czechoslovakia during the Iron Curtain and Soviet occupation. Someone who has supported freedom in this country, and not only in this country, elsewhere, and not only Europe, but basically globally. Someone who has been a great supporter of all human rights causes around the globe. Someone who has been for already more than 3 decades a pillar of Czech foreign policy, of Czech political life, and someone who has been a true European, a conservative with a vision. I must say that it's a privilege for me because I have had the chance to serve directly under him as his deputy foreign minister for several years and then ambassador to Israel. I remember when I first time met him, and it was during the time of a visit of Frank Zappa to Czech Republic, late Frank Zappa, a great American provocateur musician who passed away unfortunately already 30 years ago. But when I was leaving to Israel as Czech ambassador, I got 2 presents, a pipe from Karel Schwarzenberg and a picture or photography done by Tomky Němec of Prince Schwarzenberg and Frank Zappa during this visit in Prague. And I still have the pipe. It has traveled around the globe with me, most recently in Sharm el-Sheikh 2 days ago for the COP27 summit. And I have the photography of Karel Schwarzenberg and Frank Zappa in my apartment, so the whole family can see them every morning once leaving the apartment environment out to the day. So it's been always great and very much insightful and very much learning experience to be with him here in Czech Republic, in Prague, or traveling elsewhere. And I truly think that he's definitely the giant who deserves such award. Karel Schwarzenberg, it's my pleasure and honor to give you the award.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much for this award, which I admit gives me a great pleasure. But to be honest, I don't think I merit something like this. It's just what I did in my life was the result of experience from my childhood times on. I remember the child, the SS guard on Prague Castle. I remember the communist coup d'etat, and I remember then 1 week before my 11th birthday that we had to leave the country and to stay for 41 years outside of the country. That to somebody who tries at last sometimes to things gives some lessons. And the lesson I took from it that we have to fight for our freedom, for democracy, for the rule of law for our whole time. Maybe the generation which is now grown up took the lessons from the failure of their grandfathers and fathers. We shouldn't forget our grandfathers and fathers fell into the trap of Nazi ideology, of communist ideology, depending only in which nation they grew up. But they, in a great number, fell into this trap. And I don't think that we became much wiser or more resistant. I do think that maybe our children and grandchildren will be in the danger to fall into a new trap. And never that it's the same trap. I don't think that either Nazis or communists will come again. But human stupidity is unlimited, and we will find new ideas which give the same service to establish a totalitarian regime. And we have to fight it. Now, out of the historical experience, it hardly is possible that this illness at the same time breaks out in all countries. As a rule, all countries are hit, but at different time in different form. So if we are not the only country where everything can happen, but if we are united Europe, where we can depend on each other, where other neighbors and friends will help and resist us, then we have the greater chance not to repeat the sad history of the last 100 years. That was the only reason why I got into politics, because basically I'm a lazy man and I would much more prefer not to work at all, enjoy my life and go stalking, shooting and amuse myself. But the experience of my childhood forced me to do what I did. So never forget, therefore I'm such a defendant of United Europe. I'm not what the Czechs call a I see the difficulties and the problems of United Europe too. But it's more resilient, it's more resistant to new accidents of history and against new waves of stupidity, which always can happen. It's an illness which always breaks out in human race. So therefore, it's no merit what I did. It's just I was forced by the fates to do it. But in spite of that, thank you very much, and it's a beautiful thing, and I'm pleasantly surprised. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for your great speeches. Thank you for the great atmosphere that we created here in the Liechtenstein Palace. Now it's my pleasure to say that the official program, let's say, it's over. And now we have the very last part of today's program, which is the reception, where we can discuss more, where we can enjoy more informal conversation and some great refreshments. So let me thank you again for today's program. I think that we witnessed several great discussions with great speakers, and this was the perfect end of today's program. So I think that we can give another applause to Mr. Tomáš Pojar and Karel Schwarzenberg. And now I can only tell you, enjoy the rest of the evening, enjoy the reception that is served in the coffee break area, and see you tomorrow. Tomorrow we can meet here at 8 o'clock. The official program starts at 9 with a keynote address delivered by Nasser Nureddini, Minister of Environment and Physical Planning from the North Macedonia. So thank you very much and enjoy the rest of the evening.